Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Progressive Action TV. I am your host, Tramel Thompson. Today, we are having a special show with the person we are supporting for Local 100 president. I know a lot of people was like, Tramel, why don't you have a debate? Why don't you do this? We are only about supporting the people who we feel are qualified to do what they got to do to make our union better. This candidate has experience, he's intelligent, he's not afraid to challenge the status quo. And for me, that's very important because when people get inside our union and get elected, they say one thing to get elected, and then when they get in, they pivot and shift almost immediately. We've seen it with almost every candidate, even oppositional candidate and whatever that goes inside, they go in there and they do something different. And this is not this candidate right here. Now, I'm going to stop saying this candidate, and I want to welcome the person, once again, we supporting for Local 100 President, Kia Phua. How you doing today, Kia?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. Like you here, you on Progressive Action?
I know, progressive action, right? Who would have thought?
Who would have thought, right? I mean, listen, we started off rocky, man. I was real critical of your administration. I think when I came to transit, you may have been in office or something like that. No, you wasn't in office yet. The first election I paid attention to, you were in office, and I was very critical of your administration. I said some crazy things. But one thing I'll give you credit for is that you always supported what I was doing over here at Progressive Action. We had rallies. You gave us water. I'm talking about it's 98 degrees outside. Hey, Tramel, you need water. After I just put up a crazy post about you on Facebook, you marched with us. You seen me at 2 Broadway. Hey, Tramel, how you doing? Come meet the bosses. This is the people who's in charge of this. You was always gracious. And I would like to tell you personally, thank you, for not taking any of the stuff personal and putting the members first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You did the right things. Your soul rally, I participated. It was me and Broussard Alston, who was the train operator chair at the time. We both went over the bridge with you. It was the right thing to do. And I caught a lot of grief over it. I know John Samuelson called me into the office like a little boy and scolded me. Like, hey, I did the right thing. He's doing the right thing. We should participate with that. So
Yeah, and I think that's the part.
So.
That's the part I think that people, do not know about you is that, none of this is personal for you. You doing what's right for the members, no matter if they opposition, if they're your slate mates that you ran with, you always stand on what's right for the members. So, when it came around to this election, and we're going to get into it, why you want to run and your experiences being a former VP and things like that. But what how long you been with Transit for? Let's start there.
I started as a train operator in June 2003. So this is my 22nd year with Transit. Also, I'm 46 years old. I turn 47 next month, so I don't have my papers in my back pocket. So this is what I'm living for. So whatever goes on here, it's going to affect my life for the next at least 8 years, maybe longer than that. But
that's important because you got skin in the game, right? If you lose, you can't say, "Hey, I'm going to retire." You not gaslighting the members. Whether you win or whether you lose, you're still going to be a train operator. So it's important to have skin in the game. Now, tell us a little bit about your family life. Are you married, kids? What's going on there?
yeah, I'm married. I'm married for the last 20 plus years.
Better get that right, man.
Yes, no, 20 plus years. It's 20 years with my wife. We have 4 kids. My youngest is 9, 12, 20, and 24. So I have a family. Everyone still lives with me. So, times is rough. My kids are still going to school. So I'm a family man.
Yeah. How important is it, to be a husband and a father?
No, it's very important. I mean, you raise your family. We're working hard. We want to leave a little legacy for your kids. You want to teach them the right things to do, make them grow up to be proper members of society. That's it.
So 20, you said 22 years on the job, all under one title, train operator. Um, you held a union office before. What union office was that and what department?
I was vice president of RTO. I was elected in 2015. I served from 2016 up until when they ousted me in March of 2018. But I was a union rep prior to that. I was released on union release in September of 2011, straight through until I was ousted until March of 2018.
Yeah. And even in your personal life, you decided to run for elected position also. Tell us about that.
This was last year. I ran for mayor of Berkeley Township in New Jersey. It's a Republican county. I am a Democrat. I'm a registered Democrat. Doesn't mean I agree with everything the Democrats do. I'm the people person, so I make sure you try to do the right thing. So I agree with the Democratic principles, women's rights, health care, abortion rights, and things like that. But I am in a Republican county. My township, it's mostly Republican. They outnumber the Democrats 2-1, and historically they vote 3-1 against the Democrats. In 2019, the mayor candidate lost. I think it was like 80-20 in the polls. So I'm trying to make a difference for my family, for my kids. So I ran in the election. I had a slate and everything. I ran for mayor, and I lost. I knew I was going to lose, but I was trying to make a difference, trying to change the dynamic that's going on. And I was able to reduce to 10 points in the polls, which is big. If you talk to the politicians that's out, changing the polls 10 points is a large number. And I'm hoping to change more. I'm still active in my community. I'm on the board of the Berkeley Girls Softball League. I started a travel program for the girls this year. We had 51 kids that signed up for the very first time. I also started a Cub Scout program in town. So I'm very active with what I do down there.
So what made you want to run for president of Local 100 this time?
Running for Local 100 president, I've seen what's going on for the past 6 years, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Right now, we got this workers' comp, CPPO. Members are not getting the care that they need. Members are not getting paid properly. We got inadequate raises that's here. And there doesn't seem to be some kind of fight or organization amongst our members. And we need to mobilize everybody and get things moving. And I don't think the leadership that's in place is going to move us in the right direction.
I agree. And, from you got ousted in what year you said it was?
2018.
2018. From 2018 to 2024 now, what have you been doing to stay active in the union?
I've been doing a lot of things with within RTO at least. I still have an email list that I maintain. I attained all those information as a shop steward before office. I also have a Facebook group where I get this information from people. People still recommend my email list, so I get new members that come up to me and say, "Hey, can you add me to your list?" So during this whole time, I filed many different grievances. I filed union-wide grievances. I have 2 grievances right now that's a union-wide issue, where there's vacation and days cashed out. When you're on comp, the authority doesn't want to pay people for that. So that's at the arbitration level. I just did a step 2 on that maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. There's another grievance that I filed. It's a union-wide grievance in regards to the 70-30 list. Mm-hmm. Again, with comp, if people use their sick time, I don't know if anyone knows how the sick lists are calculated, but it's based off the time on the bank as of December 31st of the year, and they take it to May 1st, and they calculate the list that way. Well, if you're out on comp and you use your sick time for the waiver and election, the sick time, if it's not restored to your bank, you're technically penalized in the way the 70-30 list is calculated. So I have a grievance on that that's going to arbitration as well, and I did a step 2 on that, again, like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So the union should be scheduling these grievances, but now they're probably running for president. They're probably that's just gonna go away until I take office in January.
Yeah, they don't want you to. They don't want you to campaign off of those things, bro. You know how I go. And
there's more than that too. If you don't mind me touching on more. Yeah. I also filed pest charges. Like we had the COVID that happened. They didn't want to give us masks. I know you were campaigning for the masks. You did a lot of things behind the scenes also. But I filed a pest charge. I emailed that to my list, and not just about the mask, but also like cleaning supplies, getting our equipments cleaned, our quarters clean, our crew rooms clean, and finally the authority came through and says, hey, listen, we gotta do this. I don't know if it's from the PESH charge, because PESH is the Public Employee Safety and Health Bureau. So it's Department of Labor for the state. So uh, I don't know if that was the cause of it. I don't know if your action is the cause of it. Maybe it's a joint effort in all our parts, but we were able to get these things done for us. Also, I filed a PESH charge just last year. I just got an answer back last month, in July, in regards to inadequate ACs in our crew rooms. Department of Labor came in, they tested our crew rooms. They even tested the air quality, carbon dioxide and other particles that's in there, and they gave me the reports back. So of course the authority cleans up their facilities before the Department of Labor comes in, but regardless, I'm putting pen to paper and we're trying to get things done for our members.
Yeah. You brought up COVID, right? You brought up COVID just now, and I want to jump into some of the issues. How did you think the union administration handled COVID when you look at the fact that we had all of these deaths? We had more people die from COVID than any one agency in the United States of America. Not only the deaths, but the rate of infections, the people who got very sick, had to use their sick days, their sick time, and some people still suffering from residual effects of the COVID. But how do you think the union handling of COVID was overall?
It's horrible. How many deaths, like you said, how many deaths have we had as a result of COVID? If anything, when the members were asking for masks or getting disciplined for wearing masks, they should have been in the forefront to say, listen, I don't care what the MTA says. We're going to back you 100%. Wear those masks. If that's what you feel you need to protect yourself, wear the mask. But that wasn't the narrative that came out from the union hall. And at the same time, where were these union reps when COVID happened? They were hiding away in their homes, protecting themselves, while we're coming to work and getting sick and passing it along to others. There was inadequate cleaning. We were just getting sick left and right, which caused all these deaths within our facilities.
So what you would have done different? Your president, COVID happened, and you had to take action.
Would have been in the forefront. Like I said, wear your masks. Don't worry about it. Don't, if you get in trouble, we got you 100%. We got you 100%. Wear your mask. Protect yourselves. The cleaning, we wouldn't get the cleaning done. If the trains and the buses weren't cleaned properly, those trains and buses wouldn't be moving. But we would go to the table and talk to the authorities. Say, listen, we just want these things clean. They would have done it if it was presented that way, but it wasn't. And to this day, even now, COVID passed. We still have inadequate facilities that are not being cleaned, not done properly. People are still getting sick, but it's COVID, yes, still, but things are not being done properly still to this day.
You think the transit authority was trying to play a mind game with us? Like when you look at what they was doing with the buses, they put up shower curtains as if the virus was gonna say, "Oh wait, it's a shower curtain here. We can't go no further." How you felt about that?
It's disgusting. But I guess they're trying to. It is a play on the mind because the thing is like, all right, well, the shower curtain is there, so you're protected. But meanwhile, it's going around the curtain. It's in the air ventilation. But it's disgusting. But could things have been done? 2020, hindsight's 2020. So things that definitely should have been changed. But it's up to the union to force the issues too, not just the MTA just enacting what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people, when these type of rollouts happen, it's campaign time. A president is campaigning. They want to know what he's going to do for wages, what he's going to do with work rules, what he's going to do with health benefits. So I want to touch on that right now, right? So when we look at our prior contracts, and let's look at the COVID contract, that's what we're going to call it because we got a contract during the pandemic. Inflation was like 8%, 9%. We get a raise of 3%, right? I think it maxed out like 3.5, something like that, right? How do you feel about, and just to be clear, the percentage wages we got during the pandemic was really no different than what we got pre-pandemic, right? How do you feel about our wages and having the ability to live in the city in which we work?
So wages is a touchy subject. So many members say, hey, listen, we deserve 5%, 10%, but how do we get that? Right? That's the question. So unfortunately, we have this thing called pattern bargaining. Pattern bargaining is out there. It's real. And you have to understand it in order to combat it. So pattern bargaining is basically just the gist of it is they look at different unions and what they get, and we're supposed to match their pattern, and we get what they get. So if police gets 3% and teachers get 3% and fire gets 3%, so what the end result is we may get 3% for the same period as also. So to combat against that, we need to lead the patterns there. Whether it's us, whether it's PD, we need to band together with these different agencies to say, listen, we need to set the pattern. We need to get the wages that we need for our members and create that pattern. But the other part to it is also in 2009, I believe, it was one of the arbitration awards. In the arbitration award, how they determine the wages, the arbitrator, one of the factors is the cost of living. So, like you mentioned before, with the inflation, it was like 8%, 7%, whatever the case is. It went down to maybe 5%, 6%, whatever the case is. I think if we just walked through the door to arbitration, because everyone wants to say, oh, arbitration is not good. But I think walking through the door, we'd have got a minimum of 5%, just walking into the door, just based on the cost of living and inflation that's out there.
So you believe the union administration folded?
Absolutely, they folded. Absolutely, they folded because they got the 3%. Maybe there's other things that's in the contract that they wanted. I don't know per se, but they absolutely did fold because where was the fight? There was no fight. There was no rally. There was no nothing.
Yeah, and you know what they did during that time, I call it satellite rallies. Normally, you know, we have a big rally at 2 Broadway. It does nothing because they only do the rally when every employee left the building except the cleaning crew, right? We didn't even have that. What did that signal to you, led by Richard Davis, the current Local 100 president? What did that signal to you as far as the union fight that contract?
That there was no fight. I think to me, this is my opinion. I think it was just a done deal. It was a done deal. They presented whatever it was they wanted to present to him, whatever the reasons may be, because there's a lot of things going on with Richie Davis that you've highlighted. But I think it was a done deal. And then soon after that contract came out, they came out with this workers' comp PPO that they signed off on. It was in, I forgot what it was, but it was right after
2017.
No, this was in 2023 that they signed off on this workers' comp CPPO. Because in 2017, when I was there, I was leading that negotiations for the comp, and it never happened. We didn't get the CPPO because I wouldn't let that happen. The CPPO came way after because the union signed an agreement with the authority last year to implement this workers' comp CPPO.
Now, I thought that was in the contract already. I think 2019. I'm not.
No, it was 2017.
2017.
2017, but it said it had to be implemented before the end of.
Yeah, and they never implemented it.
They never implemented it.
Yep.
Not under my watch.
Yeah. When we talk about wages, and I call it transit refugees. We can't afford to live in a city in which we work. You mentioned, you highlighted pattern bargaining. In the 2009 not contract but arbitration award, the arbitrator compared us to city agencies.
Yes.
Police, corrections, FDNY.
Yeah, DC 37.
DC 37, right? When there's no arbitration, the union compare our pattern bargaining to CSA. I don't even know what they are. I think they secretaries or something like that. It's not the job of transit workers. And you mentioned that we should be leading the pack and negotiating for sure, or setting the pattern, right?
Yes.
How do we get away from pattern bargaining as a union, at least where we're following other agencies instead of leading the way?
We need to collaborate with the other agencies first. We're behind in their wages. Like, they're making way more than us. So 3% for us is not 3% for them. Right, the same way too with the union, with the reps that are there. We're getting 3%, but they're going 3% on their $150,000 salaries. It's not the same for them as it is for us. So we need to set that pattern because we're behind everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, I say that all the time. 3% on 100,000 is not the same 3% at 70,000. And then when they try to highlight our salaries, it's based off of overtime. It's not the same thing. We being that's their base salary. This is our overtime salary, and overtime is not guaranteed, as we know. Another important topic that I'm quite sure you're going to see in the field when you're campaigning is health benefits, right? What happens is that when Roger Toussaint the former president back in the 2000s gave up the health benefits trust because it just wasn't funded well, and he gave it to the MTA to take over. One thing he put in the contract, which was very important, was for them to maintain the same level of health benefits. Now, fast forward to 2024, it does not seem we have the same, seem as if we got the same level of health benefits. I remember people talking about, they had 2, 3 options of health care. Now we only have one. Today, we see people saying that their doctors that they have for years is not in their network. And you were a former officer that dealt with a lot of medical stuff. Where do you think is the problem with our healthcare benefits?
Okay, so within the union, the provision is still there as far as maintaining the same level of health coverage as we had in the past. But it's up to the union to make sure that that coverage is the same. So if their members are out there saying we're getting inadequate coverage, we have to investigate as to why that's not happening. Now, when Aetna came to the authority, they presented to us, I believe we had United Healthcare prior to that. They presented to us that 95% of the coverage that was available through United Healthcare will be made available through Aetna. And at the same time with Aetna, there's additional providers that's there that wasn't covered before under United Healthcare. So we accepted that, okay, that's fine. But they also told us too, like, I made the argument, that what if there's a provider that a member specifically needs, whether it's like mental health or an OBGYN, something very specific, a specialist because with specialists, you need that special care, that you find that one special person that you feel comfortable with. And I presented to them like, hey, listen, what if they're not part of that coverage? What can we do? The authority said, hey, listen, whoever you have, let us know, bring it to the table, and we'll do our best. We'll find out, we'll talk to the provider, and if we have to pay more than what's contractually that's out there, we'll pay that provider more to get them aboard, which was acceptable to me because all we got to do is bring the names to the authority, and they'll bring them aboard, which we had. So if the coverage is not the same now as it was back then, that means the union's not doing what they're supposed to do as far as either attaining this information from the members, because I don't know if maybe there's something that's there where the disconnect that the members are not able to get to the union. But if we're able to get this information to the union, hopefully the person that's there that takes care of this can bring it back to the authority and say, hey, listen, we need to get these doctors back into the network.
In your opinion, do you think that the health benefits did diminish a little bit?
It shouldn't have, but maybe it has, but I don't know specifics. But that's up, again, talking to the members. They're the ones that's using the coverage. The coverage that I've used, the levels are still the same. But I have basic conditions. I do have diabetes and things like that. So I do have my same prescriptions. I see the same doctors, the endocrinologists. It's fine. But maybe there's something else. Maybe it's mental health. Maybe it's something with their children. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going on. But that's something that's data that needs to be generated to see what's going on if the coverage is not there. Because we see it online. I see it in person. There's people that's citing different things. We just need to investigate and see what's going on.
Yeah. Another topic that comes up, and we can't address every department, work rules, but work rules seem to be an important thing when it comes to any type of job, that type of. So let me pick a title. Traffic checkers. They cannot wear hoodies in the wintertime, right? Traffic checkers is out there in bus stops, standing in the freezing cold. They in the subways. When it's cold, when it's the wintertime on the street in New York City, the subways is like 20 degrees colder than what's happening out on the street. And they getting written up for like hoodies and things like that. And a title like traffic checkers, which don't get a lot of respect with this current administration, getting fired and written up for wearing hoodies and things like that. You as president, how would you address that?
This shouldn't even be a question right now. To address hoodies for a presidential candidate or president of the union, this should be handled with the vice president, not even the vice president. It should be the division chair that's handling these problems. But to even discuss hoodies as a problem to wear, now I don't know if it's a safety issue. I don't know what the issue is with the authority. But if it's just a basic fact because they're out of uniform, then give me a break. Just a phone call needs to be made, speak to their counterparts in management and say, listen, they're wearing hoodies. Like it's that's it. But if the authorities are adamant about no, we can't wear hoodies, obviously they're code. So there has to be other provisions made for them to make sure they're getting the warmth that they're protected for the weather. So something needs to be done. But this to be written up for wearing a hoodie is absolutely insane.
When you get in office, can you promise the traffic checkers that would be a thing that you would address?
This is absolutely this is insane that I even have to talk about hoodies because this is about health and safety. Like this is crazy. They need to be warm, but we'll get them the protection that they need. If they want to be warm, I guarantee you they'll be warm.
Let's look at some more work rules. How about the 70-30 list? Like, I'm gonna tell you the truth. When we go touch on this a little bit in a couple of minutes, our work conditions are bad, right? I think NYU just came out with a study talking about the air quality in the subways. The passengers spend maybe tops an hour and a half in the subways, 2 hours a day. We spend 8 hours, right? Minimum 8 hours.
Some like our flaggers are out there, track workers are out there maybe 14 hours.
Correct. Under bad air quality, diesel fumes, track, steel dust, all that other stuff, right? Should we have unlimited sick days?
We should have unlimited sick days. If not, if anything, if we are getting sick on the job like this, we need to get the health care that we need to if we need the time off. But otherwise, the authority and the union talks about employee availability, which is important because we need to move the city, which is fine. But employee availability is one thing, but if members are coming to work sick because they need to provide for their families, they're just spreading that sickness along to the other people who are now sick. And then now it's not, the employee availability is gone because you got a whole gang of people just going out of work because all this stuff is spreading throughout the facilities.
And not only, we're going out of work because we're sick, but the MAC, the Medical Assessment Center, put us out of work. And sometimes they make an attempt to overrule our own personal doctors. What would you do to change how the MAC is run? Because it seems like they don't know what they're doing down there sometimes.
So the MAC is actually, well, here's one thing. There's another thing that wasn't mentioned. So I was vice president for RTO, but at the same time, I was also the coordinator for medical issues for the union. So I dealt with medical issues for all the titles in the union. We used to have a dedicated attorney for the union that dealt with workers' comp and the MAC, but she moved on to bigger, better things. She ended up being appointed to the workers' comp board, which to us at the time was beneficial for us because now we have a voice for the labor on the board. But when she left, the union didn't replace her. We didn't have a medical attorney that dealt with medical issues after she left. So even that case, I know I'm going a little off topic, but like when we had arbitration cases, like I ended up doing the arbitrations. We didn't have an attorney available, which is fine because I knew how the authority was. I knew the history for many of these cases, and there wasn't cases that I lost. As a matter of fact, and again, I'm going off topic, but there was a case where we challenged. There was a switchman who was put out of work because he was on a blood thinner. So we challenged him because, well, he's out of work, so we have to challenge him. But they ended up putting him out of work for a year. He was out of work. He had sick days. He got paid to a certain extent, and afterwards he was out of pay. But we challenged him, and the authority during the arbitration said, well, why'd you put him out of work? He said, well, there's a possibility he might bleed out. Like, what's the possibility? Like 4%. 4%. Arbitrator said, heck with this. Put him back to work. He had full back pay for that year. So we have to challenge them on these things. But, filing the medical appeals, doing these things. We have consultants. I don't even know if the unions even know who the consultants are because when I was ousted, it wasn't like, hey, listen, what were you working on? Who are you talking to? Because we have consultants that we go to and say, hey, listen, this is the case. And how do we get this member back to work? As a matter of fact, I just got presented last week. There was a cleaner down in 95th Street because he's standing up for his rights. So the supervisor sent him for like a psych eval, which is insane to me. Like, you shouldn't have to go to a psych eval because you challenge a supervisor as far as force him to work where in a condition that's not safe. But he's going through that. He said he spoke to Shirley Martin, and Shirley Martin said, hey, don't call me. Call whatever. You got to go to the MAC. Do what they got to do. And it seems like the members are just left out on their own, shifting through paperwork, trying to get documents. But the union should be the ones protecting them. File these medical appeals. If your doctor says you're good to go, that's it. Stand on that. You don't have to keep going for the other documents. Stand on that. Send it to consultants. Get it to arbitration. Get them back to work.
So as president, you will look to reform the MAC situation.
Absolutely, that's an important thing. Obviously, you have safety-sensitive titles. They have the MAC. The MAC is there, so that's something that's not going away at the moment. The MAC is there. We have members going there. There's members there now, and we should have a presence within the union to address these things, whatever issues that may come about. It's in our contract. There's medical appeals. There needs to be a specific group of reps that deals with medical issues.
You know what's crazy is that, you know, they check us for blood pressure and things like that, but don't calculate the stress of the job that make these levels go up. The bus operators, there's studies out there to show that sitting down, operating buses and having jobs to sit down all day is bad for your health. Sometimes a lot of people don't know as train operators and conductors, we don't get lunch breaks, or we have a 20-minute lunch and we stuffing food down our, just swallowing the food or whatever and not digesting the food properly. They discipline us for if we use the bathroom too much, and they do all these different tactics. So, the health and safety of us is very important. And like earlier in the conversation, I mentioned NYU did a study about the air quality and all this other stuff. That's when we veered off.
Sorry.
How do you feel about employees having hazard pay?
We absolutely need hazard pay. Actually, it's promised to us already from Senator Schumer that we should already have hazard pay. But piggyback off what you're saying with the NYU study, like we need to go with NYU and conduct our own studies. If anything, too, like the union should be going to the authority and saying this is hazardous work conditions. Obviously, the NYU is saying it's not safe for the riding public. So how is it even safe for their workforce? Like we need to do an additional study to say what's the effects of being in a tunnel. You're talking about the riding public, the effects on the platform or on the trains. What about in the tunnels? Or in the tubes? We don't know what's going on out there. And also, like we had COVID before, and a lot of members were affected by COVID. But what's the effects of COVID in like the tunnels? Like I had a lot of track workers that came up to me and it says, hey, listen, it's a much different thing going on down there now. Like we can't breathe. Like there's something there. We don't know if it's COVID or there's something in the air, whatever the case is. There was a track worker, there's a gang that came up to me and said, listen, one of our one of our coworkers actually passed out, and the train was coming around and he had to throw him in the trough. And the train like flew by because it was too late to do anything. They didn't even see him. But this wasn't reported, obviously. But there are things like that, just the working conditions that's out there that's causing these kind of things to happen. So we have to do a study and an analysis of what's going on, especially with the effects of COVID and the effects of COVID and heat and working in those environments for 14 hours a day. We don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. It's a different environment, it's a different space. We don't know what's there. And it just should be done consistently, not just one time. Mm-hmm. Air quality, they do the air quality on the platforms. We need to do air quality in the tunnels too.
Mm-hmm. I agree. What do you think is the relationship between hazard pay, employee availability, and gain sharing? Because it seems as if the union is conflicted on fighting for us. I mean, and even with unlimited sick days, it seemed like the union want us here by any means necessary, just like the MTA, but they not factoring in our health, right? So employee availability in the contract with the MTA, do you think that it's a bad situation to have that?
Absolutely. You shouldn't have to promote our workforce coming in. Like gain sharing for employee availability should even be a topic of discussion. I mean, it's good that employees come to work, but let's talk about the conditions on which we can't come to work. Why are the members going out? That should be the things that the union should be looking at. Like there's got to be reasons why members are sick, whatever the case is. Workers' comp. If they're saying, oh, members are going out workers' comp a lot, and they just say, oh, comp is up. Well, why is the reason why is comp up? Is the facilities adequate? Are the members safe? Why are they getting hurt? Are the bus seats properly made? Are the buses maintained? There's a lot of hand injuries, carpal tunnel. That's a real thing. But a lot of you got to look at the conditions in the work that we're doing and see what's going on there and try to correct those problems. Not just to saying, hey, get your members to work and you get this amount of dollars because your members came to work.
I mean, workers' comp is an issue within itself because a member will go out, go through the comp process. The MTA will controvert the case and financially force that employee back to work. What would you do different as president to address the workers' comp issue in Local 100?
Well, that first off, going back to what we were saying before, we got to create this medical issues team that each department is properly taken care of. There needs to be an individual rep within those departments to address all those workers' comp concerns. Also, we need to educate the members on this stuff. I don't want to dig deep into these things, but there's a form that's included in these IOD packets. It's a C3. We can fill out these C3 forms online. It's the employee claim. That starts the clock on which the authority has to pay you. If we don't fill out these C3s timely, they technically don't have to pay you, and there's no legal rights for them to pay you. There's no penalties involved. But if once you fill out that form, I believe they have about 18 days either to controvert your case or to pay you. So you want to know that up front quick. If you're going to controvert your case, that's fine. Now we can make the appeals so that we can get our hearings heard, not 6-8 months from now, but maybe a month or two from now. And then we hopefully get these members paid in time.
Would you also address, being that workers' comp is a state issue, would you address this legislatively too?
Absolutely. Yeah, addresses legislative. But also too with this new thing that the CPPO that the union agreed to. The provision for CPPO expires at the end of 2025. So electing the right president right now is important to get rid of this workers' comp CPPO. Because I'm right here right now saying I will not have this workers' comp CPPO. This will be gone. If the member gets hurt, they will go to the doctor that they choose to go to. This almost goes back to, like I said earlier, about the Democrats and Republicans and then your right to health care. This is that same situation right now. We deserve the right to our own health care to the doctor that we look to.
I mean, another problem with that, the new workers' comp, the way it works is that there's a delay in service. So if you're really injured, you're not getting your proper services, whether you need to see a psychologist or you need to see an actual doctor. They got you waiting weeks, sometimes months, to even get an appointment, right? So that's an issue within itself. I want to switch gears a little bit because I feel that no presidential candidate has ever addressed this properly or really seriously. And I've spoken about this for years. The MTA act like women fell out of the sky and landed onto our property and just started working, right? They act like women, they just found out women can have babies. They just found out that, not every pregnancy is the same. We've been highlighting in progressive action light duty, reasonable accommodations for pregnant women. Where do you stand with that?
It's insane because in the 2017 contract negotiations, we asked for data to the authority as far as how many women have left work because of pregnancies. They told us it was less than 100 people. It may have been like 70 people. But this is insane that we're arguing over light duty for 70 women. Like, even if it's more than 70 women, but it's women that are pregnant. These are your workforce. Like, do you want a pregnant woman who's 8 months pregnant behind the wheel of a bus? Or sticking her head out of a window to open doors on the train? Or to operate the train, climb up and down the train? It's insane that we have to go through this stuff. So it's up to the union to get this adequate coverage. I don't know what it was. I guess we're laughing at the authority for not providing this coverage.
That was the system laughed at the authority.
Yeah. But it's insane that we have a discussion because pregnant women should be treated as such, like the delicate. Like, it's only for a short amount of time that we're talking about a restriction for. It's not like we're asking for, all right, so she's pregnant, let's give her a 3-year restriction. It's talking about a few months. Just get her off the bus, off the train, off the tracks, off of wherever they are, and just get them some light duty work.
I mean, not only that, it's unique. I don't care what the Democrats saying now, all this other stuff. It's unique that women get pregnant and not men, right? They also use up their sick days for pregnancy issues, and we all know that the transit authority will hold your sick days over your head when it comes to getting a promotion and leveling up on your career. How would you address that to differentiate? Well, this woman, the reason why she don't have as many sick days as y'all would like her to is because she had 2, 3 babies on the job, and she had to use up these sick days. Like, would you try to create like some type of track specifically for women who were pregnant so it won't affect them in promotions?
Absolutely. And that's something that the authority does now, because when they get denied the promotion, they go back to the member and say, hey, listen, tell us why you were out and provide us some proof. So if one of our female workers says, hey, listen, I was out pregnancy, here's the documents, they say, okay, we're not going to hold this against you, and they end up getting promoted. So if they're already doing this, let's just put it in the contract that says, hey, listen, you're not going to hold the member responsible for going out sick because of this one instance.
Well, let me tell you.
It's not just pregnancy either. It's for any kind of thing. Say member broke his leg. Or you broke your leg, you had to work 6 weeks. They're not going to hold that against you because it's one instance.
But the thing is that when you get 1 in 3, they're not being asked that. They just being 1 in 3, and there's no recourse behind that.
Right.
But the problem could be because they had a baby on the job.
Right. So we get the head of this, we can address this up front, then they won't be penalized and lose that seniority from being 1 in 3. That maybe they'll get promoted outright from the front, as opposed to being denied and then working your way to get promoted. Like, you lose out on that seniority because you were denied up front.
Yeah, I mean, the 1 in 3 rule is a bad thing anyway, and that needs to be changed. We have to do something with that legislatively.
Yes.
Tier 6. How you feel about Tier 6?
It's horrible. It's horrible. They're pinning our Tier 4 workers against our Tier 6 workers. Tier 6 workers is maybe 80% of our workforce right now. For those that don't know, Tier 6, it started in April 2012. Tier 6 workers have to pay more into their pension, and then they receive less when they actually retire. So it's horrible.
Now, we have different aspects of Tier 6. You have the cap. You have the contribution rate, which go up to 6%. It seems as if right now the union is attacking the cap. Do you agree with that, or what would you do different to attack Tier 6 and address that issue?
Okay, so the cap is very important, right? And I'll touch on the cap in a second, but the cap is important. And actually, to me, it's an easy fix for the cap. But that's what the union is targeting. That's what the other presidential candidates are discussing. But to me, what's important is the contribution percentage. Most transit workers make over $100,000. They're paying 6% into their pension. If we can get that number down, like a Tier 4 worker pays 2% flat, whether you make $80,000, you make $150,000, we pay 2%. But if we can get that contribution percentage down from 6%, now we're not going to get it down from 6 to 2 right away, because that's not how these guys go. They say, oh, listen, we can do a little bit here, a little bit there. So if we can start getting that number knocked down, then maybe when they're time to retire, because the first Tier 6 person that is available to retire is, you're talking about April 2037, if they're able to retire at that time. But 2037, so if we can get this contribution percentage down now, that puts real dollars back into their pocket. Especially if they're on a 6-year wage progression, they need every penny that they can get. So we get down from 6 to 4, then 4 to 2. We need to get concentrated on the contribution percentage.
I agree.
Now we talked about before about the cap. The cap, most people know, in 2018, there was a bill for transit workers where it passed the Senate. I believe it was 60 to 2. And then it passed the Assembly. I forgot the number. It was like 120 to 12, something like that. So it was both Democrats and Republicans that says, yeah, transit workers, you deserve to eliminate this overtime cap. But then it went to the governor's desk, and then the Governor Cuomo at the time, vetoed it. And then that was it. The union says, oh, they vetoed it, and that was it. But that wasn't the only, that should have been the end all, be all. Because what people don't know, after it got vetoed, the union and they could have went back to the Senate and the Assembly and had them re-vote on it. And according to the law, if 2/3 of the assembly and 2/3 of the Senate revote and say, yes, we want this to eliminate the overtime cap for the transit workers, if they voted yes, then that veto is overridden and it goes into law. So when I say it should be an easy fix, it should be an easy fix because, like I said before, I believe the Senate was 60-2, and then the Assembly said it was 120-12. So it's well above the 2/3 vote that we need to get this done. But we need to went back to the table to get this done.
What role do you think COPE plays in this? You know, for those who don't know, COPE is Committee on Political Education. Members voluntarily put money into this fund to, and the union claim they use it to lobby politicians, you know, donate to their campaigns in favor for them doing something for us. So it's basically a quid pro quo situation going on. Do you think that the union use our COPE money in the best way possible?
Well, we don't even know what the union's using this COPE money for. Because if anything, we should have COPE reports that's issued to us. It should be at least quarterly, monthly, quarterly, or even annually. But we don't get anything. So what are they spending this money on? But the COPE dollars is not just even a donation to the politicians. Like COPE dollars could be used just to, like I said before, we need to go back to these different politicians. Like I said, the Senate before was 60-2. Maybe the importance for us is why those two voted no. To me, it shouldn't matter because we got the 2/3 vote. But maybe we want to find out why those two said no. So we could use some of that COPE dollars resources to go to those two people and say, hey, listen, you know, we could flex our muscle and say, hey, listen, what's going on here? We can organize and mobilize the membership. And not just us. We can get different departments, different agencies to get involved with that too. And use the COPE dollars there to put pressure on these politicians. So it's not just about a quid pro quo, but we use that money to put pressure on these people that are not working for us. And eventually, too, we can also run a candidate against them. Mm-hmm. If a person that's there that's not pro-worker, let's put a pro-worker candidate against this person. And that's my experience for me running for mayor. If you're not doing your part, let's put a candidate up that's going to do that part and get them out.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Another issue that plagued transit workers a lot is assaults. We see it on bus operators. They get sprayed with mace, hit with locks, firearms pulled out on them. We just had a conductor get their neck slashed, shot in the face with a BB gun. Why do you think that there's a pandemic of assaults happening on transit workers?
There's no accountability. That's what it is. People could think they could do what they want. If they could do what they want, they're going to do what they want. It's like the same thing also with the fare evasion. They're just walking through the gate because they can. There's no accountability for their actions. So that's where we need to put pressure on the DA's office. Why aren't these assailants getting prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law? They come out with these assault bills. They say, oh, you could be up to 7 years in prison. What assailant has gone 7 years in prison? Just no one that I know of. So we need to hold these people accountable, make an example out of somebody for putting their hands on our workers. So we need to hold them accountable. If we have to hold rallies in their offices, whatever we got to do, but we need to protect our workers and do what we got to do to make assaults more bigger than what they're portraying.
How do you feel the union administration take the issue of assaults?
What do? They hold a press conference outside the court office, but they don't even let the members know that, hey, listen, we're here. And it's always, every time you hold a press conference, it's all the union reps that's outside standing there with the member. And I think a lot of the times the member doesn't even know they're attending a press conference. They're just showing up and they're like, oh, I'm in front of a camera now. But there needs to be more done. Not just stand in front of a camera. We need to make more noise. Like I said, we need to go to the DA's office, even go to the governor, whatever the case is. We need to go to whoever, the mayor. We need more police. We need to go to wherever we can to get our workers protected.
The FTA just came out with a ruling saying basically the transit authority is running an unsafe operation. Anyone who works in the subways know that the MTA is working an unsafe operation. When you look at train operator, you are a train operator, and if your train go BIE, you got to walk around your train around live train traffic. Basically, no flagging, no real safety measures, no anything. When you look at, I think you brought up a situation with a track worker from maintenance away passing out and you know the hazards that they deal with. How would you ensure as president of Local 100, that the MTA will be respecting and upholding their part of the safety?
Well, I don't know if anyone knows, but the union does have a track safety task force. So any kind of issues we can present to them from there. But as president of the union, if these issues are there, um, like the members should be freely able to come to us and speak to us about these problems. And if health and safety, especially the safety that's involved, where it's life or death, it's on the line here. We definitely sit down across the table and say, listen, we need to address this immediately. Otherwise, work is going to stop. Like you're saying before about flagging with the trains, if it goes BIE, trains need to stop moving then. We either put the lamps out there or the adjacent track, we need to stop moving these trains. Because we can't just have trains flying by when there's workers on the ground. Like track workers have flagging, why don't our train drivers have flagging? So we need to address all these issues at the table and get that going.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised when that issue, that ruling came down, because I know me personally wrote, the FTA wrote to the NTSB about issues regarding safety with this. That's why I said I wonder who's going to take credit for this, right, or try to take credit for it while they running. But this is a progressive action thing. And going back to the health and safety, we have a lot of these jobs, basically the operational titles, 12-hour jobs. And, some people need the 12-hour jobs because they can't afford to live in the city in which they work. So a lot of people will like the 12-hour jobs. Some people don't like it. They feel that it takes up jobs, like it's not a lot of jobs out there. But what people don't pay attention to is that the effect of a 12-hour job that it has on the body day in and day out. Is that an issue for you as president?
Absolutely. Because we need to conduct an analysis. Like, we can't just come out, the authority just comes out with these 12-hour jobs, but then they don't do like a survey on the employee to say, how have you been since you worked this job? Because once you pick your job, you can't just get out of it. You got 6 months to work this job. So we need to conduct an analysis as far as what the impact of these jobs have on the worker. Are they having enough breaks? Is the work too much? And also talking about safety, like are they getting enough rest? At the 10th hour, are they fine with still operating a train or a bus? Like we don't know what the effects are, and it doesn't seem like there's the authority or the unions asking those questions. So we need to find out, do an analysis on the members to say, are you fine with these jobs? Because I'm all for working. If you want to work, you fine, let's work. But if you're not physically fit or the conditions are not good for you to work in those conditions, then we need to make some changes.
How you feel about dual employment? Because the transit authority will let you work up to 16 hours at the job, right? Now, they say you're supposed to have 8 hours of sleep. So let's say you work 16 hours, you're going to teleport home, and go straight to bed, straight to sleep, no shower, no nothing.
Just come right back.
And come back to work, right? They not factoring in travel time, saying hello to my child, nothing like that. But they have an issue with dual employment. Now, my position is, if they not giving us the raises that we truly deserve, why can't we go get employment, part-time employment somewhere else? What is your position on dual employment?
If an employee wants to work another job, they should be able to, just as long as they're getting the proper rest that they need. But we shouldn't even be talking about dual employment, because if our wages are inadequate, that's up to us to make sure our wages are up to par with living in the city in which we work. So there's a double-edged sword here that we need to figure out what's going on and try to resolve this in those kind of ways. But if a member really needs to work another job, we should be able to work another job as long as they get the proper rest that as the authorities are saying.
Exactly, because we all know that MTA don't mean ATM no more. That Absolutely. Was that was like in the maybe 2005, maybe.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
So. Right, MTA ATM, right? Negotiating contracts. So I've heard with this current administration that it was a lot of closed door meetings. Vice presidents wasn't even invited. I heard that from vice presidents themselves. Definitely the division chairs no transparency, deals was made closed doors. You, as union president, how would you conduct contract negotiations and being transparent at the same time?
Okay, so in 2017, I was vice president of RTO, and it was the same thing then. The president controlled all the basically the money topics. So that was a closed door session between the president of the union and the president of the MTA. To me, the president of the union doesn't know everything. Obviously, our former president back then was John Samuelson. He was a track worker. But what does he know about buses? And what does he know about train operator or traffic checker? So to me, like, the top officers need to be involved in this top negotiations. The top four, the vice presidents, and not even just the vice president, like the division chairs as well. Because like right now, we have in stations, we have Robert Kelly. He's the vice president of stations. He's a CTA. So he may not know the needs of the station agents per se. So we need to get all these different departments too and divisions involved. We have there's seven vice presidents. I think there's 16 division chairs. We need to all get in a room and hash out what we need to hash out. Get everyone involved. Maybe one thing's more important than the other. We see what's best for the entire membership. So get everyone involved in the room and to negotiate this contract.
Do you believe when there's no true transparency that the president, whether deliberately or by accident, pit one department against the other to sell another department out?
Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. And they look at the dynamics of what's going on is one department building up. Like in RTO, when I held different contract meetings in 2017 in each borough, and each meeting was well attended, and there's pictures and all kinds of things like that. So they see that as like not a negative, but a threat to their positions. Because I was approached as well as, what are you trying to do? You trying to run for president? I wasn't even trying to run for vice president back then. For me, run for president, I'm just trying to do for the members and get more input from the members, because that's what you want, which is kind of odd because like they don't want us involved. It's like they want to dumb us down where we just say, oh, yeah, whatever. The union would just do what they want to do. But then we're not going to get anywhere because we have no power. There's power in numbers. And they don't see that. But I guess there's power in their pockets because they don't want us involved.
Now, in the beginning of the show, I had mentioned that I'm supporting a candidate who challenged the status quo. You happen to challenge the status quo and you got ousted simply because you ain't go along to get along. Can you let the members know what happened with that situation?
Oh, we're going to be talking all night then.
Well, give us the short version.
I'll give you the Cliff Notes version.
All
right. So I forgot the time frame. I think it was in 2016 or 2017. They were rolling out the 179s, right? So the 179s were unsafe then. I don't even know if they fixed it now, but they were unsafe where you couldn't climb down between cars. Like your chest would get stuck when you put the safety chain down. You couldn't even climb down if you had to inspect the train. So when they were about to roll it out, I forgot what date it was. I took the train out of service. I said, we're not rolling this out. It's not safe. About an hour later, I got a phone call from John Salmon and says, I don't have the authority to take trains out of service. That's a presidential thing. And he put the trains back in service. So it's like from that moment on, I was like, because I went against what the MTA wanted to do. I was like a big no-no. I got like a little slap on the wrist, like, don't do that again. Fast forward a little bit, there was more. And this was in the press. President Utano was, well, let me backtrack a little bit. They were selecting Utano during the convention. And I voted no against Utano because I didn't think he was the right person for the job. And I voted no. It was me and I think it was 3 other people at the executive board that voted no for Utano. So that was definitely us in the outs. But moving on from there, President Utano at the time wanted to broadband work. He wanted to combine platform controller with station agents. To me, that's a no-no. Like, platform control is exclusive to conductors. That's conductor work, and station agent is exclusive to theirs. So the station agents are on the mezzanine, conductors are on the platform. But he wanted to broadband jobs and he said, oh, you're going to get $1 raise. But it's not about $1 raise. You're combining work. So what's next? We're going to have a bus operator clean the depot. and a train operator is going to go down as a conductor, or maybe a track worker can work on structure. What's next? So I put that to the press, and that was a big no-no too. So I was on the way outs from there. So fast forward that a little bit. The reason why I got ousted, they claimed that I brought a reporter to the meeting, to one of the stations meeting. So I showed up to the stations meeting because this is when the discussion about platform controllers and station agents to make that new job title. They had the yellow uniforms. It's in the Daily News. So if you wanted to read up on that. But they claim I brought a newspaper reporter. And if you look at the I think there's a picture out there on the internet somewhere. But if you look at the picture, I was standing maybe 8 to 10 feet in front of this reporter. But they said I brought the reporter to a meeting. They had the Kangaroo Court, which Richie Davis was part of, and John Chiarello. So all these characters were all involved in my ousting. And they did some fake trial, and they said, you're out. They brought it to the executive board, and then I was out. So meanwhile, as a sitting vice president, I got ousted because I brought a reporter to a meeting to discuss, allegedly brought a reporter to a meeting to let them know about the station agents and the broadbanding with the platform controllers. But meanwhile, we got a vice president who assaults a member, breaks his leg, but he's allowed to be vice president to this day. So what's egregious here? Is bringing a reporter to a meeting, or is breaking a member's leg more egregious than that? So it's insane that took place, but that's what happened. So I was never actually voted out of office. The members, I was voted in that one time, and I was never voted out of office.
All because you challenged the status quo.
The status quo.
And what's interesting is that the broadbanding actually went through because the station agents did end up getting the extra $1 up under Kelly, right?
To come out the booth.
To come out the booth. I think soon they gonna be cleaning the stations. That's the station agent in the future.
There's reports that the station agents are actually on the platform too.
They are.
And they shouldn't be on the platform because that's conductor work.
Yes.
There should be platform conductors on the platform. So that needs to be fixed as well.
I mean, we heard from the union president in the secret recording. I don't know if you heard it, but he put a play in saying that conductors don't like station agents. And he's this is a union president now, trying to drive a wedge between conductors and station agents. Station agents now make more than conductors, so they setting up the narrative for us to, go to war with each other. You become president, how would you fix that situation?
We need to bring us all together, sit at the table and get this fixed, because for station agents to right now, they're making more than conductors, which is fine. I'm all for everyone making more money, but they promote into conductors. So how can you promote the conductor and take a pay cut? It makes no sense. But the union that's there now, they should have thought of all this stuff before all this stuff was implemented. Even the transit authority should have discussed this with the union as well. But obviously we have people sitting now at the table that just don't know what they're doing.
Exactly. And, speaking about station agents a little bit, automation, they got those Metro card machines. Now they going to Omni. We see CBTC going into play where, a train operator just basically got to press a button to operate the train. In the city, they clearing out roadways, especially the buses that go from east to west. And it's easy to see that they want to implement driverless buses. How would you protect workers' jobs with this new technology coming?
Okay, so there's a lot there. So I'll start off with the first part you said. Station agents being out the booth. Just to backtrack a bit, not to backtrack, but to just add on to it, fare evasion is up. Reason why the fare evasion is up because people just push the gates open. But they just implemented those push gates. Those weren't there from years back, whatever. I'm not sure when they implemented it. But we had the station agents, you have to buzz the gate open for someone to use that gate. So we need to bring back these station agents back into each station, get them going. Right now, that they just had an article where they're going to hire more of these security guards to man these gates. First of all, if that's security work, that should be our TPPAs working those jobs.
Exactly.
Not contracted security guards. That's taking away our work. That's exclusive work for our TPPAs. But even if it's not the TPPAs, remove those emergency gates like that and get back our station agents, because the fare evasion will go down, because not everybody will hop a turnstile, but everyone's walking into those gates. But to move on to the buses. Now you got the driverless buses. To me, it's tough for them to just automate automated buses. One, because we have millions and millions of people that walk around the city. People don't follow the rules and they're jaywalking and just walking left and right. That a bus may not be able to just operate on its own. So we would, for me, I would talk with the mayor and the city council to ensure that the bus operators will be on these buses for the safety of the public, but also the safety for the passengers on board too. Because it could be a situation that arises on the bus. If there's no personnel on the bus, what are the people on the bus able to do? Press a button and say, hey, listen, there's a guy who had a gun. At least a person on the bus, they could press the button on the bus to alert the authorities, say, hey, there's an emergency here. So we need to keep these drivers on the bus. But we work with the politicians and with that, the mayor and the council, to ensure that the buses are properly manned.
Yeah. And, as being a union member, there's a huge problem with transparency, right? I mean, the way that I learn is that, I go on the union website, I look at different contracts with different departments but I don't see nothing there for private lines. What's going on? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, there's nothing in there for private lines.
Do you have an understanding as to why?
I don't know why. But private lines now have their own issues, I'm sure. But we don't know what's going on there because it's all secluded there. But my priority is just to go in there and see what's going on. Because we'll have union reps that's there, and we need to see what's going on there. I think there's some depots or some companies where some of the members don't even have sick time.
I mean, to even touch on that, private lines, when you look at MTA bus, they don't have sick days. They got half days. They get 7 sick days a year, while we get 12. Or even if we want to compare them to the other buses, the discrepancies, and they got different pensions, different sick days, different work rules. Now, MAPSTOA work rules before consolidation was phenomenal. Some of their work rules, I can't lie about that. When they became consolidated with TA, they adopted a lot of the TA rules. But something as simple as sick days for MTA bus, when we are part of the same union, how would you address that?
That's going to be the first thing on the table, because that's insane that they don't have the same sick time as we got. To me, that's like a non-starter. They're going to get that sick days in that next contract. That's a priority for me. There's no reason to pin one worker against the other. You mean to tell me that bus is different from this other bus? We're all bus operators. If one bus operator is getting 12 sick days, MTA bus should be getting 12 sick days as well. And the same thing as for pension parity. If we get raises, why aren't their pension multiplier increased by that same percentage?
Facts.
So all this stuff should be just on the table. Like, this is a non-starter. If we get raises, MTA bus, we get the same thing as well. For their multiplier, sick time, we all should be the same level across the board.
I mean, it boggles my mind how, they can function like this, because what I think that it does is that it goes back to what we're saying, department against department. Hey, you got that. Hey, you got that. Hey, you get this. They all bus operators. They all drive in the same city, whether it's private lines, MTA bus, MAPSTOA, or TA Surface. We all in this together, right? Now, what is your vision for the future of Local 100?
We need to get the members active again. There's no shop steward program. There's no education. We're dumbed down. It's the same thing like society. We're all dumbed down. But we need to get the members more involved. And that may be one of my, flaws maybe, because, not flaws, but I was always told in the union, stop educating your members, because the more people you educate is the more potential candidates they may run against you. And if you see an RTO, we have candidates left and right ever since I left office. As a matter of fact, I believe it was Eric Logel that became vice president after me. During my administration with RTO, we have safety walks, right? I've released him to do safety walks because I said, you know what he's trying to do for the membership? Let's do the right thing. Let's not play politics. Let him do the safety walks, because he'll do what's best for the membership, for the thing. Not just him. like John Ferretti. So all these different organizations and all these different groups within RTO started building up, and then all of a sudden we got all these candidates running, which is a great thing. Because if someone could do, I've said this, I've publicly said this. If someone could do a better job than me, so be it. I don't care. Let me go back to the train, which is, I was ousted, but I went back to the train. I'm still a train operator. I did that for 6 years. I didn't go to supervision. I am here on the record. I am never going to supervision. There's no way in hell. I don't know what union rep would just say, oh, I'm not in the union no more. Let me become a supervisor or superintendent. That's insane. It's insane. You could do more. Like if they say, oh, you could do more over there. No, I'm doing it right here.
Yeah.
And that's the way I am. But we need to educate our members. We need to educate them, bring back the shop steward program, not even the shop steward program, but like we meet them at the union hall, new hire orientation. I used to give out a manual to new train operators, new conductors, new tower operators. There's a manual that has all the different stuff from the contract, different rules, but even stuff like the union's here to protect you. So if you ever need anything, we got our pictures in there. Like there's people now that says, I don't even know who my union rep is. They just got a name, and I saw that one guy in the union hall. Like I said, he wants to get all the votes, whatever the case is. But we need to educate our members. That's important. Because the educated workforce, they'll stand up for themselves and make the life better for all of us. So education is one thing that has to be changed. Because we need more. Obviously, we only have a handful of people that's fighting, and there's no fight. So we need there's plenty of people out there that in the woodworks that probably come out and say, hey, listen, I think I could help out, and I have these different traits that I have that I can help benefit the union.
Do you think that Richard Davis, the distractions of his scandals, he had an ex-girlfriend come out and say, he used to assault her. An arbitrator ruled that, he said that she typed 100 words per minute and something about her vagina. I forgot exactly what it was. Do you think that it's a distraction to the work that he needs to do, that plays a role on the members negatively?
Absolutely, it's a distraction because he has to litigate his case, guilty or not. But what's the ramifications of him being president of the union? Like he just negotiated a contract. Was it a negotiation? Or was he just say, hey, listen, you need to sign this because this is what's going on? I don't know. We don't know. I'm sure the vice president doesn't know because, like you said, it's a closed door session. So we don't know what's going on in that room. So is it a distraction? Yeah, it's a distraction. It's also a conflict of interest. Like he needed to step down.
I mean, see, prior to me releasing that information, I was looking at the play, like he was having these small rallies during the contract, like nothing wasn't making sense. And I'm like, something is at play here. And when I finally put together the timeline, I said, I believe that he was conflicted and, there was something else at play where he was trying to save his life because nothing didn't make sense. And I believe it was a distraction also. And I believe it is a distraction. It's continuously to be a distraction. Now, a couple of more questions. Unity, we hear that word a lot. Unifying, and we need unity. Where do you stand at on a unity clause for Local 100 members, especially when it comes to the opposition? Because we all want to get the administration out.
I think that was another reason for my ouster too, because like I said before, I was the medical issues coordinator, so I dealt with all the different departments. So I was getting friendly with, well, not friendly, but conduct business with the different departments. So they were coming to me with the different contracts. Hey, listen, there's a stipulation that they gave me. I'll give you an example too. In 2017, at the table, Donald Yates, he was division chair at the time. He came to me and says, hey, listen, the authority wants bus maintenance to move buses in the depot. Like, check this out. Like, are you crazy? Like, moving buses is exclusive to bus operators. Like, they shouldn't be moving out those buses. At the same time, bus maintenance shouldn't want to move those buses unless they're compensated for it. Not that I'm promoting that they move buses, but they shouldn't be moving those buses. So he got that out the contract. So that wasn't there in 2017. I mean, Richie Davis was the vice president at the time. He should have killed that provision that was there. But as far as unifying, I was getting along with all these different union reps, and they saw me as a threat to their presidency when I didn't even want to be president back then. But I am for the unification because because what we get here, we want to maybe get somewhere else. So, we could benefit each other. Or maybe it's something that that maybe MOW is able to get. We can expand to the other departments. Like in the contract too, like the AVAs. Why does one department have 17 days and one department have 12 days? It makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense that we have different things. We need to band together and work together as a unit to get the maximum that we can get as a whole.
But let me ask you this: why do you think that there's no unity with the union opposition to try to get the administration out?
Repeat that again.
Why do you think that there's no opposition unity to get the administration out now? Like, why? Like, it's gonna be 4 different slates.
Yeah.
Right. You got the incumbents, and then you got 3.
I got you.
Why is there no unity there?
To be honest, I'm not sure. And now that it's put out there that I'm running for president, I'm going to reach out to the other presidential candidates to see what we can do, because we do need to unify. Because each person has their own positive traits too. It's not like I'm not going to talk bad about another presidential candidate, because they're there to fight. We need fighters. So whether they're doing things a certain way or doing things another way, there's positive traits to everybody, and we can join forces. Maybe we can unify to get rid of what's going on there. So I'm going to reach out to the 2 other candidates that's there, and hopefully we can get a unification going.
Man, this was a great interview, man. This is a great interview. Anything you want to tell now, this ain't gonna be your only time on here, right? But I seen people say, "Oh, who's Kia? We never heard of him." And so this is just a nice, brief interview. But before we get off today, anything you want to tell the members? You look right there in the camera.
Oh, we look in the camera. Oh, we look in the camera now. Okay. We got to get out and vote, right? So you got to get your ballots. Make it important. In the rules of the election, they use the address that the member provides, right? So if you change your address with the transit authority or wherever agency you work for, you technically didn't inform the union. So you need to update your address, especially if you move. So the union gets the addresses from the authority, but they technically don't have to mail your ballots to that address. So update your address with the union, get your ballots. If you don't get your ballots, make that phone call. Vote. Voting matters. All right. I'm going to get out there more. I'm going to speak to every department that's out there. I know in MAPSTOA, some of you want to talk, but you're afraid to talk because they control your overtime, which is messed up because there are many issues and you should be able to talk. So we're going to get you out there. You're going to be able to talk, whether it's maybe Zoom, we'll keep you secret, anonymous, whatever the case. But we're going to get out there. We're going to get our website going. Follow the page, follow Tramel's page.
Follow your page too.
Follow my page. Let you know. We'll get the information out there. This is the first showing of this. But not just me. We got the vice presidents coming out of the top 4. We're all going to be out there. So follow what's going on. Vote. Get your ballots. Make a difference. And tell your friends to vote. Get them to watch the videos. Get them to read up on all this stuff. And let's do this.
What slate they voting for though?
Who slate we voting for?
Yeah.
Progressive Action.
No, it's progressive. He's Mr. Progressive Action now. I'm taking the back seat. But look, we need you guys to really spread the good word. This was a great interview. This is not going to be the last time you see or hear from Kia on this platform. Kia got, for those who don't know, Kia got the second largest platform, I believe, behind Progressive Action. He's informative. He sends out emails about different information regarding the union. And Kia, tell them how they could tag onto your email list.
Just send me an email. Send it to, I guess my name is KIAPHUA@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if you guys got any problems, y'all don't got to hit me up. Y'all can hit up the presidential candidate themselves, and we get it popping like that. So you're going to see more interviews with people from the Progressive Action slate. We're providing transparency. If you want to challenge anything Kia has want to stand on that he said in this interview, we're going to provide receipts. We're not just shooting from the hip, and we're going to make it happen. Nuke, you got any questions? Anything going on with you?
No, I'm good.
She's good. Nuke is good. Nuke is good. So thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.